Hello and welcome. My name is Alan, and we are back with more news and politics from around the world. And this is for the date of June the 18th, 2023, which is Sunday. Now, first story we have here is a story from, I believe it's the BBC. She was denied an abortion in Texas, and then she almost died. Texas law that bans all abortions except in dire medical circumstances is one of the strictest introduced since the right to the procedure was overturned. Critics say it is forcing many women and their doctors to choose between breaking the law and making the right decision for their health. See, there are many who cry, banning abortion is essential because it saves lives. It hurts lives. Because at this point, the fetuses are not alive. They're parasites. I mean, a lot of people don't like to hear that. Babies not yet born being compared to a parasite, but think about it. It doesn't return anything, but it demands all this from the host, the mother. Amanda Zarowski and her husband Josh had recently bought their dream home located in one of the most sought after areas of Austin, Texas. It had scenic views of a lake and a golf course. With their first child on the way, it was perfect for their growing family. But their moving day last August was not at all what they had envisioned. Amanda had just been released from the hospital after her life was put at risk when she was denied an abortion. It felt like I was living in a dystopian world, she told the BBC. In the United States, as a pregnant person, you should not be afraid for your life because of the laws. In the years since the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade, giving states the right to ban abortion, 13 states have passed near total bans. Texas is the largest and one of the strictest, banning all abortions from the moment of conception, except in cases of life-threatening physical condition or a serious risk of substantial impairment of a major bodily function. Breaking the law can carry a $100,000 fine and up to life in prison. And see, even though they say, well, the laws are set, if it threatens the life of the mother or a horrible condition that would be placed on the mother, there's still those. You amped up the penalties so high and blocked everything else out that healthcare professionals are not willing to risk going to jail because of your stupid ass laws. You may say, oh, it's got exceptions. They don't take the risk, even with those exceptions. This is from Reuters. Trump lacked power to declassify secret nuclear arms document, experts say. Even when he was president, Donald Trump lacked the legal authority to declassify a U.S. nuclear weapons-related document that he is charged with legally possessing, security experts said, contrary to the former U.S. president's claim. The secret document, listed as number 19 in the indictment charging Trump with endangering national security can, under the Atomic Energy Act, only be declassified through a process that, by the statute, involves the Department of Energy and the Department of Defense. For that reason, the experts said the nuclear document is unique among the 31 in the indictment because the declassification of the others is governed by executive order. So yeah, essentially it's owned by the government and cannot be declassified simply because the president says so, because it depends on national security. It doesn't matter if the president says, let's declassify it. No. That particular document, number 19, he couldn't declassify it. Others, if he'd went through the process to declassify them, he probably could. But number 19, no. The claim that Trump could have declassified it is not relevant in the case of the nuclear weapons information because it was not classified by executive order, but by law. So yeah, I mean, by law, it's usually something Congress has passed. It is something that belongs to the government in general. And it isn't just, oh, I can declassify it now, it's mine. No, that's not how that particular document worked. The others, maybe he could declassify it. He didn't. The special status of nuclear-related information further erodes what many legal experts say is a weak defense centered around declassification. Without providing evidence, Trump has claimed he declassified the documents before removing them from the White House. You have to go through a process. It has to be verified. You can't just say, I declassified them. No, that's not how things work. I'm immortal. I am granted sex by every woman and everybody else is fucked. I get all the sex. What? No, that's not how that works. There is a process. And he just didn't want to go through with it. Voters think Trump is a criminal, Biden is too old, and DeSantis is a fascist. New poll finds. This is from The Independent. A new poll out from JL Partners underscores major weaknesses for the three men most likely to be sworn in as president on the 20th of January 2025, with little good news to soften the blow. With the GOP primary now in full swing, Americans are getting a good look at the alternatives the Republican Party will present to the re-election of President Joe Biden, who was already the oldest president ever to take office when he did so in 2021. I don't know who JL Partners is, so I don't know how good that potential poll is, but yeah, I agree. Trump is a criminal. Biden did lie, and DeSantis is too authoritarian and fascist. Personally, my favorite candidate right now that he's left the People's Party, is Cornel West with the Green Party. Behind him, I back Marianne Williamson then maybe RFK Jr., then I guess Biden. Anybody else the Democrats may put up at that point. And then Republicans. This is from the Salt Lake Tribune. Republican lawmakers attack Utah school district that banned the Bible for embarrassing the state. They were just going by the law. A law you passed. One legislator said it was accepting atheism and hedonism to remove the Bible. Davis School District officials said they just followed the law legislators wrote. You were just in such a hurry to try to ban stuff that you were like, don't never say the Bible. Dumbass. Seriously? That's why there needs to be more thought in the laws you make instead of just like, this will give us the ability to ban all this we don't like. Okay. Republican lawmakers turned their wrath Monday on the Utah school district that has banned the Bible for younger students, calling the decision reprehensible and embarrassing for the state. The attacks came during a lengthy and combative interim meeting where Davis School District officials were called to explain the determination on the religious text, which has drawn national attention since it was made public earlier this month. You should be ashamed, said Representative Brady Brammer, Republican of Pleasant Grove. This is offensive, added Senator Kurt Bramble, Republican of Provo. Representative Mark Strong, Republican of Bluffdale, said taking the religious texts off the shelves of elementary and middle schools in the district was bogus and a move toward accepting the religion of atheism and hedonism. Atheism is not a religion! It is the lack of. So many stupid people. Especially in the halls of fucking power. The criticisms from the conservative members of the Administrative Rules Committee carried on for most of the 90-minute discussion while the district superintendent and board president tried to explain how the scripture was determined to be inappropriate for children under the law that the legislation themselves had set up in 2022. The administration asked the legislators to wait and let the full process play out, with the Bible ban currently being appealed. Our intent is to follow the law, said Superintendent Dan Linford. That has been our earnest intent. The law, HB House Bill 374, was spurred by conservative groups that have largely been targeting books about the LGBTQ plus community that they find inappropriate. Under it, each district was tasked with setting up a policy for books to be reviewed and to ban any containing pornographic or indecent content. You notice how big of fucking bitches the conservative wing of the country has turned into. They love to point at the left and go, ha 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 ha. Oh, but something don't go their way. I'm shooting my beer because it had a gay person on it. Quit your goddamn self. Shut up! God almighty, I can't stand some of these fucks. This is from the BBC. Iraq displays 2,800-year-old stone tablet returned by Italy. Good, Italy. Congratulations on returning something, from whence it came. I believe that should be done with a lot of things. A lot of artifacts and stuff have been taken from a lot of Middle Eastern and African nations. Because they're like, oh, this is historical finds we must have. Really? You believe having a mummy, having the ancient stones with cuneiform or other forms of writing on it are artifacts that you must take to your country and put on display? I think you should work with those nations, return their stuff, and let them put it on display, because it is their heritage, not yours. The artifact is inscribed with complete cuneiform text, a system of writing on clay in an ancient Babylonian alphabet. Italian authorities handed it over to Iraq's President Abdul Latif Rashid in the city of Bologna last week. It is not clear how the tablet was found or how it made its way to Italy, where it was seized by police in the 1980s. Iraqi Culture Minister Ahmed Badrani said that it might have been found during archaeological excavations at the Mosul Dam, which had been built around that time. Iraq, often described as the cradle of civilization, is known among others for the world's first writing style, as the aforementioned cuneiform. Cuneiform was often, they would take something and in somewhat wet clay they would press in the shapes that form out the alphabet in the language. So yeah, it actually had a form of writing. I can't remember if it was on the Rosetta Stone. I know Greek, Egyptian. I'm trying to remember the third language on the Rosetta Stone. I don't know if it was cuneiform. I don't think it was. But yeah, with that we were able to decipher much of Egyptian writing and stuff and understood how to read it. But yeah, that was from the BBC. This next story from the BBC as well. Vienna Pride Parade attack foiled, Austrian police say. So yeah, this is the country just southeast. Yeah, southeast of Germany. Southwest is Switzerland. 3 suspected Islamists have been arrested in Austria over allegedly planning to attack the annual LGBTQ plus Pride Parade, police say. The parade, which took place in the capital Vienna on Saturday, attracted more than 300,000 people. Austrian security services said those arrested in their homes on Saturday were young men aged 14, 17, and 20. They released no details but added that weapons, including knives, an axe, and air guns, had been seized. Good. I'm glad they foiled it. there should. It's one thing you see often, as much as they go, "Ooh, we don't like them terrorists," but most of the hate groups in the U.S., neo-Nazis, KKK, whatever the hell else, they're just like terrorist Muslim groups. It's just hate. An excuse to hate people. This is from ABC News 8, I think, Nebraska. Using a loophole, Seward County seizes millions from motorists without convicting them of crimes. So they're just taking stuff without even saying, yeah, you're guilty of something and this is your punishment. No, we're just taking it. 435 miles of Interstate 80 run through Nebraska, but one 24-mile stretch has become nationally known or notorious for a type of traffic stop that sends millions to a single Nebraska county and its sheriff's office. In August of 2020, flashing police lights stopped Christopher Bowden's van on the short ribbon of road as he headed west through Seward County. Within minutes, Bowden found himself standing with his dog on the westbound shoulder. Seward County deputies had just found $18,000 in cash rolled up in a blue sleeping bag in his back seat. It's drug money, they alleged. It's money for my trip to Colorado, Bowden responded. There, on the side of the road, 1,300 miles from his Virginia home, in a state where Bowden knew no one, a sheriff's deputy handed him a form. You can sign this piece of paper, abandon the $18,000, avoid arrest, and continue on to Colorado, he says. He was told. Don't sign and you will go to jail. You could face felony charges, your van will be towed, and your dog will be taken to the pound. They were trying really hard for me to sign that, Bowden said. Traffic stops like these, where passing motorists are pulled over, searched, and asked to turn over any cash that's found, are big business in Seward County. Population 17,692. Here, money is routinely seized without anyone being charged or proven guilty of anything. The sheriff's office has specialized in and perfected the practice known as civil asset forfeiture. Despite the 2016 law meant to ban it in Nebraska. But out of the every 3 civil forfeitures cases in Nebraska state courts happens in Seward County, according to a Flatwater Free Press analysis of a decade of court records and a data request provided by the Nebraska Judicial Branch. Nearly all begin when a Seward deputy stops a driver on I-80. Nearly all involve an out-of-state driver. And nearly all the seized money ends up in law enforcement hands after drivers, faced with a split-second choice between money or jail, signed the form and abandoned their cash. Sounds like to me, Seward County needs to be heavily fined, sent to court, and sued. Sued strongly. There is no way they should be allowed to do something of it like that. I mean, seriously. That's bullshit. They need to fire the police squad and hire all new members. This is why I think there should be a national database of everybody and what they do as members of the police. Absolutely, there should be a national database on this kind of thing. This is from The Guardian. Whoop. Power companies spend millions to fight Maine's proposed non-profit utility. The U.S.'s first state-run public power company could be created when Maine votes later this year, but utilities are fighting against it. So essentially, oh, you're going to prevent us from making money instead of doing things that would be good for the people. You'd prevent us from getting richer off their backs. So we're going to fight it. They should be nationally seized and made into. There should be a state-run entity for power in every state. There should be a national board. Maybe put it under the the Department of Energy. Yeah, and cover all that. Anything that makes life easier and better for the average American, that's absolutely what should be done. I don't care how much it costs these big billion-dollar, million-dollar companies. This is from Reuters. Iran's Revolutionary Guards threaten to avenge military parade attack. Iran's elite Revolutionary Guards vowed on Sunday to exact deadly and unforgettable vengeance for an attack on a military parade that killed 25 people, including 12 of their comrades, and Tehran accused Gulf Arab states of backing the gunman. You know, all these Middle East countries used to be one big country called the Ottoman Empire. Following World War I, it was a teetering giant on the verge of collapse. So a number of countries gave it a push so that, you know, a number of other countries could control those countries for its oil under what was called the Sykes-Picot Act. And the territory is divided up into much of the countries we know today. Iraq, Iran, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, you know, all these countries like that. They were birthed from that. They used to be one country, but now it's like, we've got borders, so we hate you. Even though we used to be the same group of people. Anyway, this also is from Reuters. China says Xinjiang has boarding schools, not concentration camps. China is running boarding schools, not concentration camps, in the far western region of Xinjiang. Its governor said on Tuesday, as the United States called conditions there completely unacceptable. Is this dealing with the Uyghur populations? China has faced growing international opprobrium for what it says are vocational training centers in Xinjiang, a vast region bordering Central Asia that is home to millions of Uyghurs and other Muslim ethnic minorities. Yeah. It's been said for a while now. They're putting the Uyghurs in concentration camps, and China's like, no. It's just vocational training boarding schools. Activists say there is a network of mass detention camps there holding more than 1 million people, part of a crackdown that Beijing says is needed to stem the threat of Islamic extremism. The U.S. government has weighed sanctions against senior Chinese officials in Xinjiang, including on the Communist Party boss there, Chen Guo. I probably butchered that name. Who, as a member of the powerful Politburo, is in the upper echelons of China's leadership. So, yeah. The attention's getting to be too much. And, China says, they're just vocational training and boarding schools for Uyghurs. The rest of the world's like, they're concentration camps. This is from Sci Post. Christian nationalism and biblical literalism independently predict conspiracy thinking, according to a new study. A new study has found that both Christian nationalism and a biblical literalism are independently associated with a greater tendency to believe in conspiracy theories. When people believed in both Christian nationalism and biblical literalism, their distrust of government officials increased significantly. The findings published in the Journal of the Scientific Study of Religion provide insight into the sociocultural factors that contribute to the spread and persistence of conspiracy beliefs in certain populations. That's an interesting little nugget of information there. Of course, you always need more than one study. But again, interesting what the study finds. Alright, this is some interesting data pieces. We have here a map. The sea surface temperatures in the North Atlantic Ocean rose by unprecedented highs in June. April, you can see this water's getting redder. This portion right here, this is your Atlantic Ocean. Over here is Pacific, South America, North America, Europe, Africa. They kind of cut off Asia here, but yeah. You can see, starting in April, how red the waters are getting. Just off the coast of Portugal and Spain here. There's a strong red growth, and then it moves. It's like it dissipates and moves over here, and now you have this and this. It's spreading across the waters. Up here is Greenland, which was just a huge island with an ice sheet on it. Look how red this is off the coast of Peru and stuff here. Yeah. And I mean, this is warm temperatures. Immensely large. North Atlantic temperatures jumped in early June, breaking previous records. El Nino signal continues. And you can see off the southern coast of Africa here, off South Africa's coast, and off the coast of Argentina here, where it's getting warm as well. Off the coast of South Africa, coast of Peru, Europe. Look how red it gets around Europe. This is in May, early May. And look at this. It's starting to really make it warm into June. Look at that. Look how red it is around. Climate change is a real thing, people. Finally, the last thing we're going to take a look at, a data map. Canada's population reaches 40 million people. So yeah. On Friday, June 16th, Canada's population is expected to reach 40 million in 2022. Canada's population grew by an unprecedented 1.1 million people, most of them permanent and temporary immigrants. If current immigration levels continue, Canada's population could reach 50 million by 2043. And yeah, guys, a lot of this is exaggerated. That's not a word. There's a word I'm trying to think. It's just made worse, vastly worse, by situations like climate change, which force people to move out of areas, and lawlessness and war. And we're just seeing more and more of this, and they play into each other. Those three conditions do. So it's not just Canada, it's other first world countries where you're going to see that kind of growth. This is the territories of Canada that saw the most growth. Ontario saw the most growth by and far. That's where the city of Toronto is. 39% growth. Quebec, 22%. British Columbia, over on the west coast of Canada, saw growth by 14%. Alberta, 12%. Manitoba, 4%. Saskatchewan, 3%. And I think the rest, not near as much. But yeah, Ontario and Quebec, which is your French Canada. I think it's got what? Ottawa and Quebec City. Montreal. I believe. I may be wrong with that. British Columbia has Vancouver. Alberta. You've got Calgary, Alberta. Edmonton, Alberta, I believe. And then Manitoba, Saskatchewan. But yeah, that's how the population kind of settled there. Other world gross, the world population has grown by 34.6%. India's grown by 27%. China by 7.2%. Afghanistan by 5.4%. So yeah, we're after India, we're starting to see quite the drop-offs. Nigeria is growing 5.05%. Philippines grew 5.04%. France 3.2%. Pakistan 2.6%. Iran 2.5%. And the U.S. 2.3%. So yeah. The world and India have really ballooned up there. But I just thought that was an interesting graphic to look at. But yeah. We'll go ahead and end this episode here. It's been a large one. Thank you all for watching. As always, where's that sign? Whoop. Educate thyself. Think, read, study, learn. Someone tries to tell you something you have trouble believing, ask them to cite their sources. I'll be putting sources in the description box below the video. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you all in the next one. Until then, later.